Right, Galimera for a second time. All right. Just to let you know, if people start to call me while I'm sort of mid flow, I can't accept your phone call. And then what it does is it throws out the broadcast. So those people, Karen Bush, Wiggy Winstanley, Stefan Hammer, thank you for the calls. I can't take your calls at the moment. My system doesn't allow me to take people coming in and talking off without cancelling out the broadcast. Something I've got to learn how to sort. But anyway, the weather for today, as you can see, it's absolutely glorious. It's a fantastic day today. As I said in my first bit of broadcast, which I've now deleted, I'm actually broadcasting from two locations at the moment, or two locations. One is to the Magdalena's page, and the other is obviously to my own page here. The reason for that is today is the opening night for Magdalena's. The bar opens at 6 o'clock this evening. So once again, if you want to come and see us this evening, just to remind you, we're having to obviously only open the front bar. We can't open the upstairs except just for the toilets. Also as well, we still have the music ban in place, so we're not allowed to have any music playing as well. But the bar is open for cocktails and chat, all right? That's all there's going to be, cocktails and chat, while obviously we wait for the restrictions that are still in place to be lifted. Anyway, the weather forecast then for today, as you can see, it's absolutely glorious. The lovely Amanda said, morning, Ginge. We've got highs of highs of 26 today, but it's going to feel like 30. And she also reminded me that this time last year, our temperatures were only 24, actually. So she says it's a little warmer this year, but not by much. So then there you go. Clear blue skies, absolutely lovely. Also as well, just to let you know, we've got quite an interesting day at the airport today in the way of arrivals. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the arrivals that we've got. We've got two flights in from Amsterdam today. One is a TUI, the other is a Transavia flight. And guess what? My mouse doesn't want to work now. Come on, mouse. Right, we got two flights in from Amsterdam, a Paris. So I'll say that again. Got two flights in, two from Amsterdam, a Transavia, and also a TUI. We've also got a Paris flight in as well. And guess what, it's not going well this morning, is it, eh? Let's try that again, shall we? Now, there we go. We got one Paris flight in as well, so the French are here. Now, interestingly, we've got three flights from the UK in today. We have one from British Airways that's flying in from London. We also have an EasyJet that is flying in from London as well. And I have a feeling that Alex is on that flight, who works at Magdalena's, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I know he's due to get back today. And we also have one flight, an EasyJet flight from Bristol, that is also showing on the board as well. So technically, three flights from the UK arriving today. I know Alex is on board one of those flights, and it'll be interesting to see who is aboard those flights, because once again, we still have this only necessary travel, 10 days quarantine for those coming on those flights when they return to the UK, plus two tests as well, and a test before they even leave the country to get back. So that's going to be interesting to see who is going to bowl up from the UK today, just in time for the opening of Magdalena's. Right, now, coronavirus in the last 24 hours, the mainstream Greek press is saying it's taken a dip, which it has. Today, I can report there's been 1,585 new cases of COVID across Greece, which is down on yesterday, where we had 1,905. As for cases coming into the country, that's up slightly from 3 on yesterday to 6 today. When it comes to the national stats for COVID infection on the islands in the Ionian, at the moment, there's been no cases reported in Macardo. There's been no cases reported in Kefalonia. There's been 17 cases reported in Corfu, and Zakynthos again has had no cases recorded. Now, the local press are saying at the moment that Zakynthos has had 35 cases of coronavirus this month of May. However, looking at my stats, I make it 38. I'm not going to quibble that. But again, it's a lot lower than what it was in the month before, where we had basically 177 for April and we had 184 for March. All right. So again, we are starting to see it taper off. Anyway, when it comes to deaths, unfortunately, there's been a very slight increase in deaths. Yesterday, I reported that there'd been 39 deaths throughout the country. The death rate today now is 40 new deaths across the country. Once again, our condolences to those families that are affected. Again, the average age of those people was round about 70 years of age. 96% of those had underlying health conditions, again, or were over the age of 70. When it comes to deaths here on Zakynthos, in the month of May, we had 3 deaths, an 85-year-old man, a 70-year-old woman, and another 70-year-old man. And when you compare that to the month before, which was April, where we had 4 deaths, an 88-year-old woman, a 65-year-old man, a 75-year-old woman, and again, another an 88-year-old man. We've had a very light death toll as well here on Zakynthos. So again, a positive. However, our condolences again to those people who have been affected. Now, when it comes to hospitalizations at the moment, people in ICUs at the moment across Greece, that number is down at the moment. Yesterday I did report there were 540 people. Well, at the moment it now stands at 521. 322 of those are male, 199 of those are female. But again, we don't know how many of those people are actually people who got well or passed away. That again is a number that the Greek government hasn't really been giving us too much detail of that as to how the ICUs are operating. One thing's for sure, that the cut-off number for the ICUs is 900. So at the moment, 521 is well below the cutoff. So therefore, that means that the health service is not under any real pressure at the moment from incubated cases. Right, when it comes to the news then, let's have a quick look at the news this morning. Now, this is hot off the press this morning. The Greek Deputy Minister of Civil Protection and Crisis Management, Nikos Hardalias, commented yesterday that although the overall epidemiology situation in Greece is good, there are areas of concern to us, and these include Rhodes, which has had a 46% increase in cases, Mytilene, which has had a 36% increase, Syros with a 50% increase, and Hania in Crete, which has had a 26% increase. Now, Mr. Hardalias also announced a tranche of increased measures that can be imposed on areas where there is deterioration in the epidemiology data. Now, what we're hoping for is that when Britain says it will allow its tourists to obviously leave the UK and come on holiday, we may be people coming to islands that are deemed basically safe islands. Zakynthos is in that category at the moment. So hopefully those other locations, they are going to be deemed either amber or even red. But Zakynthos will obviously be in the green. But again, we're waiting for that and waiting for that decision to be made, obviously within the next coming week. Now, the Greek government also announced on Friday that there will be the reopening of gyms and open sports facilities as of May the 31st. With easing of future social activities as the tourist season begins. Now, the Deputy Civil Protection Minister, again, Mr. Hardalias, said that strict hygiene measures will be enforced in gymnasiums. This will include masks, adding, however, that some changes will be made to the protocols to accommodate for exercise that cannot be done with a face covering. There was also talk of wearing double masks at one point, although that is still yet to be clarified. And there was also yet this thing about you couldn't use a gym unless you'd been vaccinated. That was another thing that had been talked about. Again, that hasn't been fully clarified, that position is going to be imposed. Anyway, they said that there will be a limit of one customer to every 10 square meters, and windows will have to remain open throughout the gym's working hours. Changing rooms and air conditioning will remain closed. So you're going to go to the gym, you're going to arrive dry, you're going to leave sweaty, all right? So you're going to have to get changed when you go home, and obviously the aircon will be off, all right, as well. He also said that the percentage of compulsory remote working, those people working from home, they are going to try and cut that by 25%, basically in both the public and private sector. So again, those people who've been used to working from home, which to be honest, I don't think there's that many people in Greece who've had, shall we say, the luxury of working from home, still getting paid while not being in the office. But anyway, that is going to be cut by 25% as of the 31st. Right, now, interestingly, the European Medicines Association said on Friday that it recommended the use of the coronavirus vaccine made by Pfizer and BioNTech to be expanded to children. What's happened now? Okay, it's working now. It's working now. All right, I'm going to restate that. The European Medicines Association on Friday recommended the use of the coronavirus vaccine made by Pfizer and BioNTech to be expanded to children aged between 12 to 15. Now, this is a decision that offers youngsters a less at-risk population across the continent access to COVID-19 shot for the first time. Right, I'm just going to say that this is their wording, not my wording. I'm a little bit dubious about this. The vaccine was the first one granted authorization across the European Union when it was licensed for use in anyone 16 and above in December. So far, about 1.73 million doses of the shot have been administered in the 27 nation bloc, about 3/4 of the total given. Anyway, Marcus Cavriat, who heads the EMA body that reviewed the vaccine, said extending the protection of a safe and effective vaccine in this younger population is an important step forward in the fight against the pandemic. The EU regulator has received the necessary data to authorize the vaccine for younger teens and found it to be highly effective against the infection, he said. Anyway, in a study involving 2,000 adolescents in the United States, none of those who received the vaccine got COVID-19, compared with 16 in a control group who received a placebo. Said Kavli. He also added the vaccine was well tolerated and the side effects in this group were very much similar to what we've seen in young adults and not raising major concerns at this point in time. All right, so they're not worried now what happens in about 5 years' time, but that's by the by. Anyway, the EMA decision needs to be rubber stamped by the European Commission, and individual nation regulators must decide whether the vaccine will be administered to children under 16. So they're still leaving the control in the hands of the nation to make the final decision that they're going to start to vaccinate children. All right. Now, the recommendation follows similar decisions by the regulators in Canada and the USA last month as rich countries slowly approach their vaccination targets for adults and look to immunize as many people as possible. Researchers will continue to monitor the shot's long-term protection and the safety in the children for another 2 years. Most COVID-19 vaccines worldwide have been authorized for adults who are at a high risk of severe disease and death from the coronavirus, but vaccinating children of all ages could be critical to stopping outbreaks, since some research has shown older children may play a role in spreading the virus, even though they don't typically fall seriously ill. Anyway, in the US, children represented about 14% of the country's coronavirus cases, and at least 316 have died, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Doctors also identified a rare inflammatory syndrome in very small proportion of children sickened by COVID-19. They also said immunising children against COVID-19 might also give authorities more confidence to reopen schools, as getting children to wear masks and engage in social distancing has been challenging at times. But the World Health Organization has criticised rich countries for moving on to vaccinating their younger and less at-risk populations, saying that the extremely limited number of COVID-19 vaccines should instead be shared with poor countries so they can protect their health workers and those most vulnerable. I understand why some countries want to vaccinate their children and adolescents, but right now I urge them to reconsider and instead to donate vaccines to COVAX. The World Health Organization chief, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said earlier this month, referring to the UN-backed initiative to distribute vaccines fairly. Of more than 1 billion COVID-19 shots administered globally, fewer than 2% have gone to poor countries. Again, you also feel that because of the amount of COVID that has been bought, COVID vaccine that has been bought, and we've also noticed that there's been a slow up of adults wanting to take the shot itself. It seems that they're keen to vaccinate younger people rather than sharing the vaccine to those countries who probably need it. So again, I think this is a very open-ended situation at the moment about whether children should be vaccinated. I know people will say, well, it's like the mumps or it's like the measles and all of that. But again, that's tried, tested and proven over the long term of 60, 70 years. However, with the COVID vaccine, which we literally only had just over a year and a bit, I think, you know, there is an air of let's err on the side of caution at the moment. There seems to be this rush to vaccinate when obviously we weren't rushing to get flu jabs for children, but we're rushing to get COVID jabs for kids instead. So again, it's open at the moment. But anyway, you've heard it from here, so it'll come as no surprise, put it that way. Anyway, another interesting story that came up as well, COVID related as well. Sorry about all the news being COVID related this morning. Now, according to recent analysis by the cardiology clinic of Athens University, it seems that smokers are at risk, are a major health factor when it comes to COVID-19 and the respiratory system, and also hospitalization from the disease. Now, although during the initial phase of the pandemic, it was observed that the percentage of smokers hospitalized due to COVID-19 was lower than that of the general population, a careful and longer analysis of the data has showed that this is anything but the case. All right. So because you're a smoker, it seems no, that wasn't protection against the virus. Now, more specifically, the systematic review of the data of 18 studies conducted by the cardiac clinic of Athens and their university there in the university hospital, using samples of 6,310 patients, showed that smoking actually increases the risk of severe illness from COVID-19 by as much as 34%. Now, what's more, patients that smoked had more symptoms, fever, cough and breathing difficulties, and would more likely be hospitalized than non-smokers would be. So there you go, you smokers, you dirty, filthy smokers. That comes from a non-smoker. You're at risk to COVID by smoking. Where I do remember people saying, no, I've been told if I smoke, I'm safe. No? But it looks like that's all about to change. Anyway, and finally, I'm going to give you a lovely and finally story this morning. As it is summer, it seems that the United Commitrade database, I love that, their Commitrade database, and the EU's comprehensive tariff database has come up with the conclusion that Greece now ranks 6th in the world market for the growing and production of watermelons. Yes, we are 6th place. Greece now produces an impressive 204.46 million kilos of watermelons, corresponding to 5.6% of the world's total export output of watermelons across the country. Now, the country that produces the most, if you're curious, is Spain. They have the largest production and export. They're then followed by Mexico. And after Mexico, believe it or not, it's Italy who come next. And then it's Morocco. And then, as a surprise, the Americans actually only come fifth in that chart. But the country that comes sixth, that actually caught my eye, because I would never have believed this country actually grows watermelons. Is it hot enough to grow watermelons there? Well, it seems they do. But then again, they also have a reputation for growing some of the finest cannabis in the world as well. Yes, it's the Netherlands. They are ranked 8th place, actually. And they actually produce 113.33 million kilos of watermelons every year. So you've also been advised, don't forget, you normally get watermelon free at the end of a meal somewhere here. After you've had a lovely night out, they normally give you that free gratis. However, people are reminded is that you can put it in your salad. It can be put with feta cheese. You can drizzle olive oil on it and eat it itself as that, as opposed to eating it as a sweet. So once again, lots of nice recipes for watermelon. Maybe you've got a recipe for watermelon. Let me know about it, and I'll let people hear about it. All right. So, right. Okay. Let's have a quick look. See who's tuning in at the moment. Wendy Norcliffe is watching as well. Nice to have you tuning in, Wendy. Nice to see you. Lindsay Lamb is also watching as well. Margaret Black is also tuning in. Nice to see you, my darling. I hope everything is good with you. Stefan Hammer is also tuning in as well. I got your little message, Stefan. I'll give you a shout about that when I finish the broadcast. Also, Julie Allen is watching as well. Margaret, it sounds like it's jumping backwards and forwards to the top again. Julie Allen says, good morning, Ginge. Also as well, Jerry Coyle is looking in. Sean Gibbons over. Are you still over in Gibraltar, Sean, at the moment? I'm just curious. How are things for you guys over there at the moment with Corona and also with the Brexit as well? I've been hearing you've been having a few problems with the Spanish over there at the moment. Also as well, tuning in is, let's have a look. I'll tell you what, it's tablet is playing up this morning, something awful. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Tracy Jones is watching. Hilly Rogers is watching. Also, Mike Glattonley is watching as well. Nice to have you tuning in, Mike. Julie Andrew is watching in. Stefan Hammer. I tell you what, I'm going to give up trying to say hello to everybody. Jamie McKay Gunn says, morning from a sunny Scarborough. Steve Hinklin is watching in Stoke-on-Trent. Ken Grant says, good morning, Ginge, from a sunny Suffolk at last. Gallimera from Marathea. That's here on the island. That's from the lovely Stefan Hammer. Nice to have you tuning in, fella. But once again, I'm going to have to go. It's a busy day today. Once again, just to remind you, the bar opens at 6 o'clock tonight, Magdalena's. Jane and I will be there. Once again, just to remind you, only the front bar is going to be open because of the restrictions. No music is allowed as well, so it's going to be a bit quiet. So it's just basically going to be chat and cocktails. That's probably what it's going to work. Obviously, waiting for the restrictions to be lifted so that we can get back to work, obviously, normally. And help people enjoy their holiday. So again, this coming week, when you think that as of next week, it's the beginning of the new month, we'll be waiting with bated breath to see what decisions are being made, not only here in Greece, but also over there in the UK. And hopefully we will see the ludicrous restrictions on Greece being lifted by Boris, and also some of the handcuffs of doing business here being imposed by Mr. Mitsotakis, those being relaxed so that we can get back to normal as best we can and give people a good holiday and get some money back into our absolutely battered economy, because again, before we know where we are, it'll be back to winter, and then we'll see what happens then. Anyway, that's it from me. You have a great day. I'll keep my ear to the ground. And if I hear anything that says, maybe you need silent discos. Yeah, maybe we do need silent discos. Unfortunately, I would think the gear for that has now gone up in price. And we'd probably wait just as long for its delivery from China because of the sanctions imposed than what we would normally have expected. So those people who've got the silent disco gear, good on you for thinking ahead. At the end of the day, if Dennis wanted to put his hand in his pocket and spend some money, then we probably would have bought some. But anyway, that's by the by. Let's hope sensibility prevails and they lift the restrictions. Anyway, that's it from me. Oh, just a quick reminder. My show yesterday, from yesterday afternoon, thank you for those people who tuned into that. It was an absolute blast. That show is now up online as an audio. Thank you to those people who tuned in last night to the Dance Anthem show on Beats Radio. That show's going to get repeated again today, I think at about 7 o'clock in the UK, 7 o'clock UK time. I won't be in the chat room because Jane and I will be out when the show is on. Also, as well, don't forget my Northern Soul show. That will be on Sunday at 5 o'clock UK time. So anyway, that's it from... No, sorry, 7 o'clock UK time. That's it from... No, sorry, 5 o'clock UK time, 7 o'clock Greek time. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll catch you later. You be good and have a lovely day. Ta-ra.